All right, so we just got some news out of the Golden State Warriors camp that Steve Kerr is going to be determining the starting lineup based off of competition. Now, obviously, Steph Curry has that point guard spot locked down, no question there. Draymond Green has that power forward spot locked down. I would assume that Kyle Anderson will be starting at the 3 spot for that team, but the spot that seems the most up for grabs is going to be that 2 spot, that shooting guard spot, and that is a spot that we saw Klay Thompson kind of populate, obviously, throughout the last couple of years. But something we also noticed last season is that Golden State did go with a lot of different starting lineups, especially revolving around that 2 spot, similar to this season. I just saw that they went to 27 different starting lineups last season, and none of those lineups lasted more than a handful of consecutive games. So one thing that Warriors fans are really used to at this point are changing, fluctuating starting lineups. And I like the options that they have at that 2 spot, even with Klay Thompson leaving and being out. There's obviously Brandin Podziemski, a young, great knockdown shooter with some ability to penetrate inside, pretty solid off the dribble. There's also De'Anthony Melton, who I think is the strongest defensive player out of any of their options at that 2 spot. Very athletic, also a really good spot up and knockdown shooter. He was solid last season, knocked down 36% of his 3-point shots, which is okay. He did go 39% back in the 2023 season and peaked at 41% from 3 in 2021. Then obviously their other option is Buddy Hield. He is easily the best scorer and offensive option in the backcourt next to Steph. Question here is Buddy Hield is, do you want to have a situation where you're starting 2 non-defensive minded guards? Obviously, Steph is not a super strong defender at this point in his career. Solid, but not strong enough. And that is not a major strength of Buddy Hield. That's something that plagued the Lakers last season with D'Lo and Austin Reeves being in the backcourt. Just 2 point guards who weren't really strong from a defensive standpoint. And it created a bit of a redundancy. And that is a problematic redundancy to have 2 guards out there on the perimeter who aren't able to defend, especially out in the Western Conference where there are so many threats out there on the perimeter. Either way, good thing is that they have a large number of options, and each of these guys are pretty interchangeable depending on the situation. They have options when it comes to scoring at that 2 guard spot, creating shots at that 2 guard spot. That's something that Buddy Hield is very underrated at. And also they do have some solid options from a defensive standpoint. But I think the tipping scale for Steve Kerr this season when it comes to who's going to start at that 2 guard spot most frequently this year is going to be defense. That is definitely going to be the tipping scale. Which one of these guys can come out of training camp and the preseason as the strongest from a defensive standpoint? That is going to be so important for this Warriors team as they're looking to get themselves back on track as legitimate contenders after a very disappointing last couple of seasons as a follow-up to their championship winning 2022 season. So let me know in the comments, who do you think Golden State will run with in that starting 5, especially at that 2 guard position? Things are going to be very interesting as we head into the preseason and also as we head slowly into the regular season. Should be a fun one this year.